Hi, this is Crystal Keyma, and you're rocking with the bobby pin.
What's up, everybody? It's Bobby Pin checking in here with the iNk podcast, and I am so honored and happy and pleased to have Miss Crystal Keyma. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you. How are you?
I'm excellent. It's a pleasure to talk with you, comedian extraordinaire, actress, voiceover actress. I can't wait to dive in. You're from Chicago. The Cubs won the World Series.
Won.
Yeah.
I know. How cool is that? And the coolest thing about that is Chicago fans are fans no matter what. Cubbies can lose 1,000 million games and we're still Cub fans, Bears fans, Bull fans. So to see the Cubbies win is everybody's really, really, really excited.
I feel quite confident most of our listeners will identify with you in Living Color. This was your TV debut, your big breakout role. And yeah, I kind of want to dig into that a little bit. So it's my understanding that your Black World skit was what kind of sealed the deal for you. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
I certainly auditioned with it and then saw it in a script when I got to work. So I'm thinking they really liked it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and that I'm really proud of that. That was a piece that I created in high school and reformed it. It's in a show that I was working on, a stage show, before I got in Living Color, and it's so Chrissy has seen me through many decades now of transitions from, she hasn't made her way to film yet, but there's a film version of my show. I forgot the name of it. I'm working on a new show now, but my show, Some of My Best Friends, in which she appeared for the first time on stage. And hopefully I will get that going next year, by the end actually of next year. But in Living Color, it was a wild, wild ride. I grew up watching Saturday Night Live with a sheet over the TV because I wasn't allowed to watch Saturday Night Live. And, wishing that I could be the first child on that show and writing pretend letters to the producers, Lauren Michaels, please hire a child. I'll be so good on that show. And then, I grow up and I'm on a show like that where every week I get to dress up and play as a different person, or 2 or 3 different people, or 4 or 5 different people a week, and create characters, which is, there's very few things in the world that I like to do more than that.
I would imagine that's like an actor's dream, that you can come in every day to something different as opposed to monotony. I'm sure it's awesome to get to know the character as well and develop with it, but I would imagine it's probably exciting.
I do both. And some actors like to live in one character and do that very well. I have the highest respect for actors who work on daytime dramas because they have to eat pages and pages and pages of dialogue every day. And so if they don't know those characters, there's no time for character work. You have to have already done that work. They're just eating words every day. And I have a lot of respect for that. And for me, it doesn't matter if I'm doing a character for 1 minute or, 30 years, like with some of the characters from my plays. They're all fully developed people. And often back on In Living Color, I was given a woman, girl, lady number 3, 4, 5, and I took that bit and made her a person, such that Keenan would often say, "Who is that?" And I said, "Oh, well, her name is so-and-so and so, and she's not this." Wow. And he'd say, okay, I want to see her again. And so he put her in another sketch and in another sketch. And so but I think he only did that because they weren't lady number 3 or girl number 4. I made them real people that were as layered and developed as you would see if I were playing one role in a film.
Nice. I love that. And I love that you were able to contribute to the legacy of that show so much as well. You're the longest running female cast member.
Yeah, I did
awesome.
all 5 seasons, and yeah, I was the only lady who did all 5. There were just 4 of us that did all seasons, and yeah, Tommy Davidson, David Allen Greer, Jim Carrey, and me.
Nice. So I have to ask you, we're in election season right now. Race and social injustice is a huge topic at the moment. What would Chrissy say right now?
I think you know that Chrissy is a black girl. Yeah, and then the black world there is no Donald Trump, and it's just he would be like a character in a bad story where there's the villain. And you go and all the good people would fight him and win.
I love it. Oh, I love how quickly you got into character too.
Well, she's here. She tags along with me when
nice.
when I do stuff.
So I saw recently. Well, actually, let's backtrack. So we're talking about election season, and I know that you are an alumnae of FAMU, which is
of course
one of the legendary HBCUs. Go Rattlers!
Go Rattlers!
Hillary
I'm
Clinton
striking right now. You can't see it, but I'm striking.
Shout out to all the Rattlers out there. So Hillary Clinton made a promise that if she's elected, she plans to make a rather hefty donation to HBCUs. Any thoughts on that?
She should. She should make it right now. Why wait? Make it right now, Hillary Clinton. What you waiting for?
I love it. Especially
because what I'm hearing is if she doesn't win, then she won't. What's that about? Hillary Clinton. What's that about?
Side eye.
Make it now.
That's perfect. I'm gonna let that sit. Let that sit on its own. So moving on to my next question. In a recent interview, you discussed and opened up about your exit from longtime Disney series That's So Raven.
Yes.
Would you mind sharing with my listeners what that reason was? Because there was a lot of speculation and a lot of made up things, and I think the real reason is actually quite beautiful.
A shocking number of made up things that I thought were very creative and bizarre. And I won't share any of those with you. Readers probably know they might have made some up themselves. But, the whole time or most of the time that I was on that show, I was going through, I hope, the most difficult ordeal of my life, which was my grandmother's illness. And she suffered from dementia, Alzheimer's, and when we started the show, I had been back and forth to Chicago and knew that things weren't quite right, and finally went back to get a job to be able to have money to care for her, because it started out, I was doing a show, this was right after Cosby, and I was doing a play in Chicago. I was doing Raising the Sun at the Goodman, so I was in Chicago longer than I had been for a long time, and I would go and check on her, and little things, wait a minute, the pills are on the table. She's meticulous about that. What's going on? Hey, Granny. And then I would, this is what she needs. And then I would, she needs a little more than that. She needs a little more than that. Oh, okay, she needs somebody to be here with her. So cut to, I go back, to get a job, and I got one. I used to be fairly good at that. and we shot the whole first season of the show, and then nothing. And that was new to me, because every other show that I'd done was already sold by the time I, auditioned or got offered the part. And so I thought, this isn't going anywhere. So I went back home. To help take care of my grandmother. And then they called and said, okay, we're picked up. And by that time, I'm sorry, I live near the airport. By that time, I had moved in with my sister. She'd remodeled her house so that my grandmother could be there and live on the first floor. And then the show called. So I said, oh, okay, well, moving back, taking her with me. Sorry about the whole remodeling thing. And she was with me the whole rest of the time that I was on the show, me trying to fix her, make her well again, working out with her every day with weights. So by the time she became George Foreman / Muhammad Ali, and I was the only one willing to get beat up by her, I had to bring her to work with me because I was going through caregivers one a day. I would come home and their bags would be at the door. Like, okay, what'd she do? Yeah. Sorry. So, and Kyle and Orlando's moms, God bless them forever, would watch my grandmother while I was on set. And I mean, she was at that point, I was the only one that she really responded to. So if I left her, she'd get upset. I had to get to work very, very early because sometimes it would take her a half an hour or 45 minutes to get out the car. And obviously that just could not continue. So in the very beginning, I had agreed to do 3 seasons of the show. And at the time, Disney shows were only going that long. And so when we came to the 3rd season, I said, look, this can't, we can't keep this up. And so I didn't go on to the 4th season. And I'm forever grateful for the show for being so understanding. I'm sure they could have said, look, no bring your granny to New York days anymore. But they were great. And before I left, I talked to Raven and I said, and they all knew her because she was coming to work with me. And she said, go take care of Granny. So that's what I did.
Oh, I really thought that was important to share with our listeners because it just kind of shows the family, I guess, that you guys became on set of that show from being so long. So thanks for sharing that with us. And
you're welcome.
I think it was awesome of you to put your granny, before anything else. That story could have gone another way. So I think that says a lot about your character too.
Well, I mean, it seems like I'm a superhero, but really, she definitely was the superhero. She raised me and 3 of my siblings at a time when she should have been planning her retirement. And so I felt like what she did was give me one last gift, the opportunity to, in a very, very, very tiny way, pay her back. It in my book, it wasn't nearly enough. It wasn't nearly enough, but I'm forever grateful that I was allowed to do just that much for her. That and I do it again and again and again and again and again and again and again.
Awesome. All right, so Raven is about to have a spinoff, and any thoughts on that?
Did you hear that? Is anyone talking about it on social media?
Small chatter.
People are blowing up every avenue to contact me, like I'm producing the show. I'm getting such a kick out of it because honestly, when I left the show, I was in such a haze that I really didn't think anybody would even notice the character was gone. And I right away shifted to, granny stuff that I didn't know for a while that anyone did. And so this talk about Tanya Baxter, where is Tanya Baxter? What happened to Tanya Baxter? And then the show, had her go to London. That was cute. She's not very bright because she was already pretty much finished with law school, but okay. So she must have her doctorate in law, which would be cool, huh? But the fans have never stopped talking about Tanya Baxter, and I think some of it is because the show is international, and so once the show ended here in the States, it was still new episodes showing in different parts of the country. So Tanya Baxter not going on to the fourth season was then new for people. Then somebody in England would say, "Hey, where's Tanya?" And then somebody in Bangladesh, "Where is Tanya?" And then somebody in Africa, "We want Tanya." So different places would catch the news at different times. So it was years before everybody knew that Tanya Baxter was gone. And I'm really, really, really touched that they missed her so much. And I completely adore Raven. So I'm very happy for her. I think she's very, very smart and very, very bold. And certainly just because of the popularity of the show, she's smart to go back to that and to make it something quite different is also very smart. So I'm looking forward to watching the show, whether Tanya Baxter as me or me as Tanya Baxter comes back or not. I'm a fan of the show too, and I'm a buzz about it too, and I think it's wonderful. And if they did ask me to come back as Tanya, that would be cool too. And wouldn't that be nice for the fans to say, "Hey, she came back from London." It's an accent probably, but whatever.
Producers, personal request right here. I would love for Tanya Baxter to make, even if it's only a few appearances, and just kind of be grandma to Raven's kids. And I'm really excited to see how this plays out too, because I was a huge fan of the show. I'm definitely a Disney kid. So I watched a past interview of yours to kind of prepare for this interview, and you brought up something that I didn't know before. So from In Living Color, I believe you said you were able to work every year, which I think is amazing because a lot of actors can't say that. And you found your way to ABC on a show called On Our Own. And you said you're with the entire Smollett family, which is amazing, the success that they're seeing now as a family. What are your thoughts on that, watching them go from babies to their own star?
I know. On my reel from yesteryear is a clip from On Our Own, which was the second series I did. So it was like night and day. That was my favorite series, probably because it came after In Living Color, where everything was so completely wild. And then all of a sudden I'm working with children, and they have stand-ins. And they can't work until, past a certain, it's like, we're done? It's still light outside. We're done? It's like, oh, wow, okay. And what do I want? You're asking me what I love you all. I want to stay here and live here. That's what I want. And then these children who are very adorable, from little Jockey on up to Jazz and JoJo, it's the whole Smollett family and Ralph Harris and me. And, it was such a TGIF show. I play a contractor who comes to fix the tub and then moves in.
Okay.
Why not? With my team of girl contractors, Suki and Nails. We were like the contracting Charlie's Angels.
Understood.
Yeah, that was a wonderful show, and certainly a lot of talent in that family. And so I'm very happy. Well, Journey, has been working steadily for a long time, and now to see Jussie get the kind of spotlight that he deserves is wonderful. I love it.
Nice. So, I'm just so impressed with your resume and your experience. So I hope you don't mind, but I'm about to dig all the way in.
No, go ahead.
As I mentioned at the beginning of the call, you have also done some pretty notable voiceover work. So can you talk to me about the concept of reinvention and being able to move from the stage of the theater and, the sets from TV shows to being in a studio playing cartoon roles?
Yeah, well, I have done a lot of voiceover work, mostly for Warner Brothers, but it's actually started with commercial work. A friend of mine, Brad Sanders, had me come in and do commercial voiceover. So that was my first foray into voiceover. And then while I was still on In Living Color, Fox did this. I don't know why. I have to start a protest to see if we can get this on the air again. This wonderful animated special called A Cool Like That Christmas. It's probably before your time. There was a song, I'm cool like that. So I think it has something to do with that vibe, at least. But it was a great, great Christmas story about this little kid who worshipped Shaq and had this towel with Shaq sweat on it that was his prized possession, but he was willing to sell it to get somebody something for Christmas. Isn't that heartwarming? And I played a lot of people. I played the minister's little daughter, and I played the main character who Don Lewis did the voice for the little boy. I played his aunt, and then I played one of the teenagers. Tone Loc played my boyfriend, and some old lady in the crowd. So I guess whenever I work, I do a lot of voices. But it was just an extraordinary experience, and a whole lot of people. And Whoopi Goldberg did the voice of the mom, and I think Reginald Bell Johnson was. A whole lot of people did that. And then I don't think I ever saw it air again after that time. And then I started working for Warner Brothers, and it started with Damon's show, Waynehead, and I did 3 or 4 of the regular voices. I did the wild little girl, Roz, and I did the friend Aki, and then I did Mrs. LaSalle, one of the little old ladies, and I did the little girl, Siobhan. Those are the regular voices that appeared almost every week. And then I just did whoever. I did just if it wasn't one of the main characters, I probably did it. and then from there, I did Pinky and the Brain, and I did Batman Beyond, and I did. Pinky and the Brain had a spinoff called Elmira, Pinky and the Brain. And then there was another show with the same producers, I think. And then there was Static Shock that I did. And then I don't know how big one was versus the other one, but Teen Titans, I realized just recently, the character that I did on Teen Titans called Bumblebee had a huge, huge following. And apparently she was one of the few Black female superheroes. So, yay, Bumblebee. And in fact, I went to the LA Comic-Con for the first time last weekend thinking I would meet some bumblebees. There was one bumblebee sighting, but we didn't see little Miss Bumblebee. We couldn't catch up to her. So, I don't know. Next time, it was really fun, really a little scary, but a little fun. But next time I go, I'm going to want to see some bumblebees, because the rest of the things are either not superheroes or a little obscure. But in the last one I did, I think it was one of the last ones I did a few episodes of American Dragon, Jake Long. There was a character, one of the main characters, a little girl. I played her mom a couple of times, and then they brought me back to do one of the wacky, becoming a monster characters on the show. And I tell you, I'm having a really great career, and I've done a lot of different kinds of things, but there's something about voiceovers, because it doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter what you're wearing or how your makeup is or what your hair is doing. you show up and you work, and you have to be like a radio that they can tune and fine tune. And even sometimes for a couple of the roles I did, they tweak them technically after I'm out of the studio to pitch them so that they sound more different than I can sound just using my own voice. But it was so much fun doing that. I miss it a lot, and I want to do that again as well.
Exciting. I'm sure the roles will continue to pour in for you. As you've said, you have quite the amazing career and resume. So I think that's awesome, and I wish you much continued success. I have a couple of more points that I want to touch on, and you kind of opened up to it in talking about hair and it not mattering when you do voiceover work. The one thing when I think of you is that every time I've seen you, your hair is natural. And I think that's so important to see that, what's the word I'm looking for? Display of self-confidence and pride. So I don't know if I'm making it bigger than it is or not, but can you tell me your experience being in Hollywood as a natural?
It's a thing. It's a thing. And, for me, and I got a question in a recent interview that said, would you ever wear your hair straight or however they put it, unnaturally for a character? And I said, of course. And I've done it many times. In Living Color, I almost always wore wigs for the characters, and the wigs were almost always straight or, some kind of not natural Black people hair style because I'm not playing myself. I'm playing a character. When you see me, my hair is natural. I had an audition today. I wore a wig because the character was a little too kooky for me to represent with natural hair, because to me, so much has been done to damage the psyche of Black people, particularly Black women, to make us think consciously or unconsciously there's something wrong with us, that I'm very careful about playing a character with natural hair if she's not positive, because what I see is a host of, and it's changing a lot for the better, a lot. And you have a lot of race ambiguous people with kind of, what are they doing? Let's look at the hair. Okay, there's a little curl to it. All right, right. but for me, when I wear my hair naturally, I'm Black. So I'm very careful about representing natural hair in addition to representing Black people or women or whatever. So if you see me wearing natural, if the character is wearing natural hair, then I think that character is positive. That's what I personally think. If not, she might be good, she might not be, but she's not me, so I don't really care. I'm not invested in what her hair looks like. I'm just not going to be used to support the myth that natural hair is bad, ugly, unacceptable, unprofessional, etc.
I love it. Later in your career, you spent some time on the Cosby Show. On Cosby,
not
Cosby.
The Cosby Show. Cosby.
I was trying to figure out how to say it to distinguish it. So yes, on Cosby.
Yeah, people only have that problem because of the iconic status of the Cosby Show. You don't find yourself saying the That's So Raven Show by mistake, or the In Living Color Show by mistake, right. Or the Seinfeld Show by mistake. It's just Cosby. And if I could go on and let you ask the question. Go on and ask your question.
I'll word it in such a way that hopefully it makes you feel
that I'll answer
it. So, we all know the scandal, so I'm not going to go into details. But do you think it's possible that he may have been framed due to his desire to buy NBC?
Well, I'll say this, that I don't know personally any framers, just as I don't know his personal business from, a week ago, let alone 20 or 30 years ago. I don't believe in coincidence, though. And I know that the first time talk like this emerged was when he was trying to buy NBC, that was then suddenly not for sale. And so I do find interesting the timing of this business, as I do the timing of this talk about Nate Parker, not when Great Debaters came out, not when other things came out, but when the story of a revolutionary Black man living in the time of the genocide of Black people as we are now is coming out. So I think we must all critically examine not just the what, but the why and the when of things. I don't listen to a lot of network news. I listen to Pacifica radio station. It's an independent, non-sponsored by corporations news station. And so I hear a lot of things that my friends and family that only listen to network news have never heard, which frightens me. And I've seen stories covered by both that are unrecognizable to me on network news. And then I think, wait a minute, I know what they're talking about. That's not what I heard. That's not what I know. Because then I fact check too. Because if somebody says you can find this out if you go to blah, 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 then I go to blah, 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 and I see, wow, that's true. I just came back from Egypt and know that what they reported on the revolution there, pretty accurate. So I don't know, about Bill Cosby. I love him. He is like what I imagine a father might be. I was raised by my grandmother, so I don't rightly know, but from fairy tales and television, I imagine that a dad would be like Bill Cosby was to me. Firm, disciplinary. God forbid I came in late. Don't let me tell him about the train that was delayed. No, he wasn't having that. I mean, my room was across from his, and so I had to pass his to get to mine, and the door was always open, and who knows who's come in and out of there, from famous this to famous that, legendary musicians and actors, and everybody knows him. So it was the 4-year education, and I've kept up with him since. I'm not a good daughter. I don't call regularly, but Raven doesn't call me regularly, so there. but if he has done something wrong, first I would put it into context of the time. And if you are going to judge one person as harshly as he has been judged, let's judge every person by the same standard. And I say this for everyone. When a white person slips up and says the N-word on network television, I'm not one to rally that they be fired, because I know it was a slip, because I know doggone well that's what they say at home to their family that doesn't mind. That's what they say to their friends that don't mind. That you don't slip and say something that you never say. Right. You slip and say something that you often say, but not in the room where you slipped and said it. I think that for all scenarios like that, we should be having larger conversations about Black people and white people, about women and men. And I think that this is an opportunity to have that kind of conversation. That's what I'd like to say about that. I think that it made me think of a lot of things, and certainly it's very, very hurtful. I'm hurt. I'm hurt for everyone. There's no good scenario. There's no good scenario, because to me, a man who hurts a woman in an intimate way that's a vile, vile thing to do. And a woman who lies and says that is even worse, because she knows that the next woman who's telling the truth will be less believable because of her lie. So there's no good scenario here. So I look at the timing of it, and what's happening just before. What happened just before this happened? What happened just before last time the story came out? And why? And what should we be talking about?
I respect that. So I got two things from that. One is be mindful of, I guess, mainstream media, just to summarize it, and kind of do your own research, to our listeners out there. But also, to have these open dialogues and discussions and get to know each other and the system in which we live a little bit better. So thank you. I appreciate you for finding a way to answer that. It was such a pleasure to be able to chat with you today. We covered a lot of ground. You're just as amazing as I was hoping you were going to be.
Oh, thank you.
Takia, Crystal, Keyma, everybody, right here on the iNk podcast. Make sure you stay tuned.